Hey everybody, I think I am live. It's been a while. Um, Hello, I'm Mark Arona. I'm the developer of DragonClash. DragonClash is a single-player card game of strategic dragon combat, and it's coming to Steam Early Access on September 4th. So I'm really pumped about that. I am an indie dev, so this is my passion project, and excited to kind of release it all. It's a digital version of the physical card game I actually released back in 2013 after a good, successful Kickstarter. But yeah, I figured the best way to kind of show off the game is to play the game. So I figured I would do a little bit of streaming in this month lead up to the release. There will be spoilers, especially I might run into the boss battle. So if you want to go in spoiler free, I'll try to give a warning before the boss battle. But other than that, it should just be pretty standard battles, so not too many spoilers there. Let's see. The game is available on Steam currently to wishlist. I encourage you all to do that. And let's dive in and play a little bit of DragonClash. This is a pre-release build, and let's see. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit. You can see part of DragonClash is each dragon. So this is an early access, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. And the early access will release with the Red Breather and Blue Adept decks. There's also a Silver Channeler and a Brown Mauler. They're not going to be available right at the release of early access, but they will. The plan is to release them during the early access period, so they will hopefully be popping up shortly after. The good thing about early access is I can release the game and get you, the community, involved. So, whether that be obviously bug tracking, but also more importantly, just feedback. I look forward to kind of hearing your feedback, what you like, what things frustrated you, what attacks you, what attacks you love, what attacks you feel like maybe a little bit underpowered, and also what features you want to see. So look forward to kind of hearing that and hopefully integrating some of that feedback into the actual game before its full release. So one of the features about DragonClash is each dragon has its lair. You can see this is the Blue Dragon lair. It's a level 0 currently. I have 2 wins with her, 0 losses. I've been playing a little bit more of the Red Breather. His lair is level 1. Currently you level up your lair every 5 wins. I'm playing around with that. We'll see if that sticks, or I might lower it. Currently there's 12 different levels your lair can levels of features your lair can accumulate. So that's 60 wins per dragon to max out your lair visually. Could be a little bit high, but I wanted to give some kind of long-term objective. So the more you play, the more you're rewarded. So that's kind of the long-term objective. There's also short-term objectives in these badges. You can see I've accumulated a few. Currently there are 55. This is a hidden one. It will pop up. It's dependent on your play. I won't kind of spoil that. It may have game impact. I'm still deciding whether I'm actually going to give match bonuses based on milestones or not. We'll see. But yeah, so the DragonClash features short-term milestone badges. There's also obviously the boss battles, which will pop up currently. You can battle the Crone in the early access, and she pops up every 3 wins, and that's combined wins. So I have 5 here. I have 2 with the blue. 7, yeah. So I need to win 2 more matches, and then I'll fight the Crone. And then, as I said, the lairs are the kind of the long term. So I try to have a little bit of constant reward, and also something to kind of build towards. All right. Let's see. Have I covered all the disclaimers? Pre-release build, Steam Early Access, September 4th, wish list. Alright, let's play. So I've turned off the tutorial. in the settings. I can turn on the tutorial tips, but since I am your tutorial today, I figured I'll save you from the pop-ups for that. Alright, so in DragonClash, the goal of the game is to capture your opponent's dragon egg. Basically, it starts in the hand of each dragon, and you can do that in a few ways. The main way, the primary way, is just through overwhelming damage. Your deck and your hand are your life, so as you take damage, as you use cards, you start discarding cards. And when you're down to one card in hand, you take any more damage, you have to discard it and you lose. You can also, see if I have any of the, I got Tail Bash here. So Tail Bash has a special ability after rank 3, which means you have 3 more instances of the card trained. You can force an opponent to discard cards. So there are certain attacks, there are certain counters, abilities that will force opponents to discard cards. So it's possible you can steal an egg that way. If you know where their egg is, it can either be in the hand or their hoard. You can maybe target it and force them to discard it early. There are also cards called Feast. Oh, look at that. We are just lucking up today. Feast allows you to remove cards from play. And if you happen to remove their egg, in a sense eating it, you win the game immediately. So there are a few different ways to win. I'm playing a red breather. Looks like I'm playing a mirror match, and the red breather is pretty straightforward in terms of gameplay. There's not a lot of counters. The blue adept is a little trickier in that she has a lot of attacks that can counter and play off of each other. The red breather is just about overwhelming damage, essentially, from range. And let's see some of the attacks. I don't have any of his specific attacks in my hand currently. I do have some. Let's flip through my hand here. I have a gift. Gifts are special cards you can kind of bless your dragon with during gameplay. This one would give my dragon 2 heads, so when I do get an actual breath attack out, I can increase its rank. Right now I just have 1 attack. All dragons begin with a claw attack. So I have a rank 1 claw attack because I have one instance in play. So to actually attack with this claw attack, it would cost me 0 cards at rank 1, and it would do 1 damage. I'll kind of walk through some of the mechanics as we actually play, rather than sit here and go through all the cards. So we just drew battle value. Battle value are these numbers here to see who goes first. He got the higher battle value, so he's going to go first. Alright, so what's happening now is Korlak is choosing... A lot of things are happening. Alright, so Korlak is choosing range. Certain attacks, claw attack for example, can only be used in certain ranges. So claw attack can only be used when you're in close range, melee range. There's also other attacks. Do I have any? No. There are other attacks that can be used in distant, breath attacks, spell attacks, that kind of thing. Those attacks can be used in distant or in close range. And there's also the safe range, which basically is self-explanatory. You're in safe range, nothing can hit you. What Korlak just did, Korlak is the name of my opponent, by the way, the red breather I'm facing. He just played 2 cards. You have 2 actions on your turn. He played 2 cards, on 1 for each action. I mentioned gifts. The other thing are you can bless your dragon with are events. So this basically gave him, pumped up his defense a lot. Wow. Okay, he played 2 defensive cards. He played a gift and event, and you can see he's got +1 resist, and +1 body, will, and resist. That's these defensive attributes on the card here. What do these mean? So what do all these pretty little icons mean? Well, for claw attack, for example, it uses your melee versus his body. So my melee is currently a 1. His body is currently a 2 because of the event. So he is highly defensive right now. It's going to be hard to hit him without a little help. What it's asking me here, he just attacked with claw attack. What it's asking me here is if I want to counter. I do have a counter in hand. I have a couple counters actually. I have Jaw Snap, which I can't use yet because I needed 2 discipline. And my dragon currently only has a 1. How I increase that is by aging my dragon. You'll see me do that a little later. However, I do have this counter, Defend, which requires me to have 1 discipline, which I did, we just saw. And it requires me to be in at least the safe range. I'm in safe or closer, so basically any range would qualify for this counter. What this does is it would up my defense by +1 across the board, so body, will, and resist. We know that claw attack is going to target my body, so I'll go ahead and do that. You can see they're now registered. My body is now at 2. It looks like he missed because ties go to the defender. So he had. Or did he miss? Oh no, he hit me. Never mind. Yeah. So what happened was when you attack, you draw battle value. So you got a 4, and you add your relevance attribute to that battle value. So in this case, it was a 1. So he had a 5 total, and I had 2 plus my 2 body for 4. His was higher, so he hit for that 1 damage. Alright, so beginning of my turn. So I mentioned you lose cards as you take damage, as you use cards as you move. As you can see here, it's giving me the option to go close, distant, or safe. If I stay in close, it costs me 0 cards. If I move to distant, it costs me 1. If I move to safe, it costs me 3. At the beginning of your turn, you regain essence, and the number of cards you regain is equal to your spirit, which in this case is 1. I'm going to stay in close because I have a claw attack, and that's all I have right now. And I want to be able to hit. So yeah, I have 2 actions remaining. I'm thinking I'm going to play Rend Gift. What this does is on discard, I can target a gift and force it to be discarded. I could also hoard this card. Hoarding puts cards in my hoard area, which is here. When I get 2 cards in my hoard, I can then shed skin, which would increase the age of my dragon, and that's how I kind of power my dragon. From hatchling through, there's 8 age ranks, so from hatchling to elder worm, I can improve my dragon that way. Right, let's see. I will. Yeah, so I'm going to Rend Gift because he's way too defensive. Alright, so he had to discard Smoke Aura, thankfully. That'll help me if I develop a breath attack later. And I'm going to start hoarding cards because I need to. Now I could play Slayers. Slayers is an event, and the cool thing about events is while gifts are personal, each dragon can have 1 gift. There's only 1 event can be in play at a time. So if I play this card, it would wipe out his event. The question is, do I care yet? I don't think I do. Because we're still at the beginning. His attack isn't doing a whole lot of damage. I'd rather hoard that card. I think. The danger of hoarding it is if he has a feast card, which I showed off before, he can wipe out my hoard, and then I would lose the ability to counter that event unless I drew another event later. So I think I'm going to actually put in Stun. I can't use it yet because it requires a 3 discipline, so it's a late game card. So I'm going to go ahead and hoard that. The danger here is that it's one of my high battle value cards, so if it's removed from game, I lose a high battle value card for later. Cards obviously do get recycled because as you heal or rest or regain essence at the beginning of a turn, the cards from your discard pile will go back into your deck. So you want to usually recycle these high battle value cards into your deck so that you can pull them later. So I really would prefer not to lose it. I'm going to go ahead and attack with a rank 1. It won't cost me any essence. He's countering. Okay, so a lot of things happen there. He countered with a reckless attack, and what that did is it draws battle value, and if that battle value was a 1 or a 2, the attack misses. It doesn't compare our battle values. It draws a special battle value to check to resolve this particular effect. So that battle value he drew was a 5, so his counter failed, and so then we drew normal battle value 3/6 plus our relevant my melee in his body meant I hit, and so I did a little damage there. Alright. Alright, he's staying in close range. So he's starting to hoard too. Okay, he hoarded 2 cards, so next turn he could age if he chose. Alright, missed. Good. I would love a feast card here. That would really set him back if I was able to wipe out his hoard. Alright, well now I have 2 events. Oblivion's Call is another event. So now I have the option of hoarding an event safely. Because if I lose one, I still have another, so I can counter his Gaia's Breath. I want to get this countered eventually. It's just a matter of when, not if. That's a huge defensive advantage for him. I'm going to go ahead and age. I'm going to show you how that's done. So I think I'm going to hoard Oblivion's Call. And what happens with shedding skin, you want to pick the card that you want to keep. Because when you shed skin, you keep one card and you discard the other. I want to recycle this 6 battle value card, so I'm going to keep my Oblivion's Call. I'm going to shed my skin. So you see it return Oblivion's Call to my hand and discard its stun. Let's see what I look like now. I'm a child age now from hatchling, and basically my body went up, and also my discipline went up. So now I can play and train cards or attacks that require a discipline of 2. Problem is, I still don't have any attacks in my hand. My particular dragon seems to be pretty lazy on the attack front. So what that means is I'm going to have to really focus on defense and aging. Because when I age, I get to recall attacks that may be in my discard pile. So that's a good way of getting attacks in your hand if you don't have any to start with. It also requires me to actually discard cards though, so I need to use cards, move around, try to get stuff discarded so that I can later recall it. Alright, so that was the end of my actions. Go ahead and attack. Alright. Thumping him. Alright, it's asking me now if I want to burst or pass. You may have seen I have 2 burst cards in hand. The reason why it wasn't asking me before is because it requires a 2 discipline. So now I actually have the discipline because I aged. I could play it. What would allow me to do is change ranges for free. It's a good way of kind of sliding out of range at the last minute so that maybe he can't hit with his close range attack, or I can slide into safe if I was in distance to prevent a distant attack. In this case, I'm going to keep them for later. It doesn't really matter now. Again, I haven't trained a lot, he hasn't trained a lot, we're still at the beginning here, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass. Alright, well, he's beginning to train, let's see. Alright, he's Alright, so let's see what's happened here. He just trained Flame Tongue. That's a slightly more mid-level attack, certainly than Claw Attack. It also requires him to be in close range. It pits his melee versus my body, and it does a little bit more. It costs essence, but it also does more damage. And at rank 3, basically what it does is it debuffs all of my attacks by 1. So if I only have Claw Attack trained to 1 and I get hit with a rank 3 Flame Tongue, I won't be able to attack with Claw Attack at all. If I have a higher rank attack, it'll just reduce the effectiveness of it. So it's good debuff card essentially. It's asking me if I want to counter. I can now do Jaw Snap because I am in close range and I have Discipline at 2. This is a great counter for the Red Breather because if he misses, he takes 5 damage. Let's do it. Unfortunately, he hit, so my counter failed. Blurg. Alright, so I'm gonna stick in close range. I'm gonna stick not gonna bet burst because I want to stick in close range to attack. I have the option of healing now. I mentioned before that one of the ways to get cards back into your deck was to heal. This would regain 6 essence. Essentially, once I discard this, I'd have 6 cards in my discard pile, and I get to heal them all. Do I really want to do that? Let's see, do I have anything worth... I do. I have quite a few high battle value cards, so that's something I might do. I also just want to age. I just want to get cards. I don't have any attacks in my discard pile though. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of his event by playing Slayers. The good thing about Slayers is we're both going to take damage every turn. Now why would that be good? Well, I mentioned before that my dragon started with no attacks in hand to train. So I want to get attacks. I want to take damage because that would get cards from my pile, from my game deck into my discard pile. And if I can discard attacks, then I can later get them into my hand by aging. So this is actually a good thing for me because hopefully it'll give me more options later, as well as damaging my opponent. And for my second one, I'm going to go ahead and hoard because I want to continue aging. Alright, so let's see, perfect. So I hit. For those just joining us, I hit rather because his battle value card was a 1, mine's a 5, and it compared my melee ability to his body, which is currently 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, and I had a whopping 7, so that was a hit. Alright, this leads to Slayers. We each took damage. I still have no attack cards in my discard pile. I need some new attacks. No, actually, I kind of want to take damage now. I want attacks in my discard pile so I can get them out of there. There we go. Alright, so finally I have some attacks in my discard pile. How many is it? Just the one? Or... yeah, okay. Oh no, I got a couple. Okay. Oh wow. It was all attacks. Alright, so I have 2 Fire Breath in my discard pile. Fire Breath is a late game attack. It can be used in distant range or in close range. It pits my breath attack versus his resist, and it does a ton of damage. It costs more, but if it hits, he'll feel it. And at rank 3, it does even more damage. It's delayed, it's a slow burn, so at the end of his turn, he would take 5 additional damage, but it's a ton of damage. It's a great attack. Not the most powerful attack for the Red Breather, but it's the second one. And the other attack, Ember Breath, is kind of the lesser breath attack for the Red Breather. Again, I can use it when I have a 2 discipline, which is now. I can use it in either distant or close range, and it pits breath versus resist. Again, this is a lower range. It's kind of equivalent to Flame Tongue, but it's the advantage of being a distant attack, breath attack. I can use it in 2 different ranges as opposed to 1. And this would reduce his spirit to 0 if I can get up to rank 3. Spirit is how many cards he regenerates per turn. Cards that get moved from his discard pile into his deck. Alright, so the good thing is I got attacks into my discard pile. So when I age, I'll start pulling those out. Or when I... actually, no, I don't want to heal because I open them back in my deck. I take it back, I don't want to do that. Alrighty. Let's see. I am going to go ahead and hoard a card. It costs me 2 cards in my hoard to age. I'm going to keep Oblivion's Call because it's an event, so in case if he plays another event I can counter it. So I'm going to keep that card. That card gets returned to my hand. Reckless gets discarded, and I recalled Fire Breath. Why did I recall Fire Breath? Because that was the bottommost attack card in my discard pile. So next time I age, I'll get Ember Breath. The time after that, I'll get Fire Breath, unless those get pulled into my deck, if I heal or regenerate essence. So yeah, I want to keep aging as quickly as possible because I need that 3 discipline. Let's see, I just shed skin, so I went from child to young serpent. I'm the 3rd age category now. 1 spirit, 2 discipline. I can now play 2 ability, which means I can now train my ranks, my attacks rather, up to 2. I can play 2 claw attack cards if I have them. I only have 1, or 2 fire breath cards if I had them. Let's see, anything else go up? Still have 2 melee, 1 breath, and 1 across the board in all my defensive. Let's see here. Okay, so I've used all my actions. I just have to keep plugging away with claw attack. Missed that time. Alright. Still gonna stick in close. Just kind of just swinging away. I'm still not too worried about taking damage. I have a ton of life left. I haven't trained much, and he's only trained a little bit, so we're both kind of starting slow. And Slayer's just doing a good job of damaging him, more than I am actually. Alright, good. So I have a lot of... I haven't had a lot of attacks, but I've had a lot of gift options. Again, gifts are cards that you can bless your dragon with to give them special abilities. You can only have 1 gift in play at a time. Kind of like events, except they're personal to your dragon only, where events could affect you or you and your opponent. I'm probably going to work my way up to 2 heads. I'm not too worried about Smoke Aura. This gives me +1 resist, which is really only good against breath attacks generally. He doesn't have any trained, he only has Flame Tongue and Claw attack trained, so 2 heads is my goal here. If I can get Fire Breath or Ember Breath trained, that'd be great. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put Smoke Aura in my hoard. I'll put a Burst in. I have 2 of them. If I lose one, it's no big deal. Alright, he played a counter, pumping up his defense. He didn't even need it because he pulled a 6. Let's see here. I'm going to... Oof. Alright, well, he just played a feast card. I alluded to that before. What happens with feast cards is the cards in your hoard get removed from play, so I can never return these to my deck. So I've just lost a 5 battle value card and a 3 battle value card. Neither is ideal. Alright, let's see. Still sticking in close. I gotta really push aging. I don't want to lose. Well, you know what? I just have to risk it. Go ahead and hoard 2. Hopefully he doesn't have another feast card. He's ahead of me on age now. He's a mature serpent. Just plugging away with that Flame Tongue attack. Plus Slayers. started as having a lot of life. I'm getting quickly down to half life, so it's not great. Alright, let's pull that. Hopefully that Ember Breath is still in my deck. Let's see. Yep. Alright, cool. So Ember Breath, I will get that right now. So I use one of my actions to shed skin. I get Ember Breath back. That knocked me up to Mature Serpent 2. You'll see my Breath ability went up to 2. And I think my Spirit also went up. My second action, I will... Look at that! We have trained a new attack, ladies and gentlemen. Ember Breath. Alright, so Ember Breath, as I mentioned before, pits my Breath attack, not my melee, versus his Resist. It's a distant attack, so I can finally start moving. And it does a lot more damage than Claw attack, certainly. Bonus is, next turn, I'll play 2 heads. And that will knock my Ember Breath up from rank 1 to 2. So that's awesome. Let's start let's attack with it. Let's see what we can do. Oh, of course he's going to counter. Ah, didn't matter. Why didn't it matter? So his resist is a 2. He played a counter. His resist is a 2 because he played that counter. Yes. And my Breath attack is a 2. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 4 plus 2 is 6. Math. I'm going to go ahead and, so this is finally, I can show you how burst works. So he just picked close because he wants to stay in close range for his Flame Tongue attack. I am however going to deny him that by bursting, which means I'm going to slip right out of it into distant range. And now he won't be able to attack unless he trains. Okay, good. Yes, he will not be able to attack with either of these because these are both close range attacks. So he just was able to hoard, and I dodged essentially an attack that turn. Whoa! Now this is great. Okay, so not only am I going to stay in distant range because I can attack from distant or close, but I pulled another Ember Breath, so things are going to turn real quick for us. Because I have a 2 ability, I can play 2 instances of Ember Breath. So let's do that. So now I have a rank 2 Ember Breath, which means if I attack normally, it'll cost me 3 cards, 3 essence, and it can do 7 damage. However, I'm also going to play 2 heads. 2 heads gives me +1 rank to breath cards. Ember Breath. That means I now have a 3 ranked. So, not only do I do a ton of damage now, but I basically unlocked my special ability for Ember Breath, which means if I hit him with it, his spirit will drop to 0 until the end of his turn. Why is that important? Spirit is how many cards, currently his spirit is 2, is how many cards he regenerates every turn. So, it basically, he won't regenerate any cards next turn. So essentially I'm doing 11 damage because he won't be able to regenerate 2. Okay, so you saw this icon pop up. What does that do? Starting with rank 2, you can essentially reduce your overall rank by 1, and that will give you a +1 to attack. So I have a total of 3 ranks now because of my 2 Ember Breath and 2 heads, but I can opt to drop to rank 2 and get a +1 attack. Do I really need it? Let's see. He's got a 1. I have a 2. Ties do go to the defender, so we're essentially equal. I'm just going to go ahead and try to get that rank 3 because I want that special ability. Oh, good. As I said, he drew a 6, but so did I. So because my my breath was higher than his resist, I guess I got 8. He had a 7 total. I hit him. You'll see his spirit is now a 0, and he took a ton of damage. Plus he's taking more damage from Slayers. Slow end turn. Alright, he just aged. He is ahead of me on age. Ooh, okay. I may have spoke too soon. He's now an Elder Serpent, which allows him to play 3 discipline attacks, which includes Fire Breath. Luckily, it's only a rank 1, so my 3 rank Ember Breath is still more than his 1 rank Fire Breath, but it's still a hell of an attack. I'm going to counter because I really don't want to get hit with that. Or if I do, so Jaw Snap, it actually doesn't help me defensively. What it does is it punishes him if he misses. So if he missed, he would have taken 5 damage, which would have been nice. Unfortunately, I just took. We are trading breath attacks now. So it started slow, but things are heating up pretty quick now. Dun-dun-dunch. Alright, range where it was important before because he had close attacks, it doesn't really matter so much now because he's got a breath attack, I have a breath attack, so if I waste essence moving to distant, it's kind of pointless because we're just going to blast each other with breath attacks anyway, so I'll just stick in close. The difference is that by sticking in close, I did open myself up to counters, so that would be one reason though you might want to move. Alright, I gotta keep hoarding. I'm also gonna play this heal card. What that will do is it'll pull 6 cards back into my deck. I'm getting kind of low. I'm gonna go ahead and attack. What this is, even though I have a rank, this number here is not my rank, it's the number of instances of cards in play. In case if that's confusing people. This is the number of cards I have in play, which is 2, plus my 2 heads would knock me up to 3. You can see that when I attack, which I will do. Oh, did his spirit go up? I'm sorry, did his resist go up? No, it's a 1. Okay, so I still have a decent chance of hitting without having to do any attack. Excellent. So basically he has 9 life left. 2 because of 8 now because of Slayers. He's got 2 in his deck, 6 in hand, so I'm getting real close to capturing that Dragon Egg card. Alright, he's sticking in close as well. Oh, okay, so he just played Ren Gift. What that did, it just removed my 2 heads, so now I only have a 2 ranked Ember Breath. He's doing an Aim Strike Claw attack. Why is he doing that? Because by doing an Aim Strike Claw attack, he dropped his rank from 2 to 1, so it's a free attack, still does damage, and he's really low in essence, so he can't afford essentially to even attempt his Fire Breath until he heals, if he can heal at this point. Slayer is just picking him away. All right, so this is great. We should win this here. Why? Because he doesn't even have any cards to draw battle value, so it's pretty much an automatic hit unless he had a high resist. And my rank 2 Ember Breath will do 7 damage. He's only got 6 cards he can discard, so this will do it for us. Ooh, before I win though, I'll show you Inferno Breath. This is the ultimate attack for the Red Breather. It requires a 4 discipline, but hoo-ah, look at that damage. Yeah, you hit with that, it's game over pretty quick. We'll go ahead and sword. I will move up to Elder Serpent. End of the phase. And let's attack. So only I get to draw battle value. I hit. We win! Excellent. I've claimed a Dragon Egg, but new rivals await. Let's see what happens. Alright, so did I get any new milestones? So now my record is 6-4. A lot of those losses, ironically, are against the Crone, which is the boss battle. I think I've attempted her twice in this particular save game file, and I've lost both times. I can't remember what the other 2 losses are. Probably to the Blue Adept. She was nasty a couple times when I played her. Here are the badges I've earned. I've gotten Expert in Claw Attack, Expert in Tail Bash, Expert in Flame Tongue, Expert in Master in Ember Breath, and Expert in Flame Breath. I've also beaten Korlak and Sheen at least once. I got a new badge, but once I beat them 10 times. Eventful, which means I've played all the events at least once. Dominate means I've beaten the opponent and had a ton of life left over. And Mine, which means I've played Rend Gift a bunch of times.